My wife and I had only been married a few weeks when we took that trip. We didn't want anything flashy for our honeymoon. No packed resorts, no schedules. Just a quiet coastal town we could drive to, somewhere far enough away that no one knew us. We liked the idea of solitude, of walking along empty streets, of feeling like the world had paused just for us. The town itself was small. One main road, a handful of seafood places, souvenir shops that closed early. During the day, it felt sleepy. At night, it felt empty. On our second afternoon, the hotel clerk mentioned a scenic drive north along the coast. He said there was a stretch of beach most tourists skipped, plus a cliff overlook farther up the highway. He called it peaceful. The road narrowed as we drove. Cell service dropped out completely. The ocean stayed on our right, flat and gray under the overcast sky. Seagulls wheeled lazily overhead, their cries faint against the rhythmic slap of waves. We pulled over at a quiet beach access point. No parking lot, just sand, old fencing, and a faded sign half buried near the dunes. That's where my wife first noticed the boy. She told me later that he stood near the edge of the sand, holding a small bundle of wildflowers, yellow and white. He wasn't selling them. He wasn't calling out to anyone. He was just standing there, looking directly at her. At the time, I didn't pay much attention. There were a few other people farther down the beach, so I assumed he belonged to someone nearby. A few minutes later, my wife glanced back and realized he was still there. Same spot, same flowers, still staring. We didn't stay long. Later that afternoon, we continued driving north and stopped at a cliffside overlook. The wind was stronger there, and the ocean looked darker from above. Waves crashed into the rocks below in a steady, hollow rhythm. As we walked back toward the car, my wife slowed down and looked toward the guardrail. That's when she saw the boy again. She didn't say anything right away. I didn't notice him at the time. I was focused on the road, checking directions, talking about dinner plans, completely unaware of what she was seeing. We drove on. A few minutes later, the road curved sharply, cutting visibility. As we came out of the bend, my wife suddenly went quiet. I asked her what was wrong, and she shook her head and said it was nothing. Later, she told me she'd seen the boy again, standing near the shoulder just before another bend in the road. Same clothes, same flowers. She said it was only a glimpse, just long enough to register before the road curved again. There were no side roads there, no paths down to the beach, nothing that could explain him being there repeatedly, nothing that made sense. By the time we reached the hotel, she'd stopped looking out the window altogether. That night, we went to sleep early. The room was quiet, no voices from other rooms, no doors opening or closing, just the distant sound of the ocean and the occasional creak of the building. Sometime after midnight, a loud noise came from the balcony. Not a knock, more like something hitting the glass. I woke up instantly and got out of bed, thinking maybe debris had blown into the door or something had fallen outside. As I stepped toward the balcony, my wife screamed. When I turned around, she was being pulled off the bed. I didn't see what grabbed her. I just saw her arm jerk forward, her body sliding across the mattress before she was yanked down hard onto the floor. She landed with a thud that knocked the breath out of her, and then it stopped. I rushed back and lifted her up. She was shaking so badly she could barely stand. She kept asking what had grabbed her. I didn't have an answer. She didn't want to stay there anymore. We didn't sleep after that. The next morning, we packed our bags and checked out of the hotel as soon as the front desk opened. The clerk looked at us strangely, and I could swear his eyes lingered on us a second longer than necessary. But we didn't stop. We never went back to that stretch of coast, and we never talked about the boy again.